al aire, Ana.
Buenos días, damos por inicio al seminario.
Good morning. We are starting our seminar.
Ana, por favor.
Anna, please go ahead.
Estamos al aire.
Muy buenos días.
Good morning. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the launch of the Global Initiative on the Development of Specialty Agricultural Products, One Country, One Priority Product. These products are products with unique characteristics and special features associated to geographic locations, agricultural practices, and cultural heritages. The initiative One Country, One Priority Product is proposed to facilitate access to inclusive, resilient, and efficient agri-food chains, contributing to achieving four aspirations: a better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life. My name is Ana Posas, and I will be the moderator during this session. First of all, I'd like to especially address our guests, the excellencies and ministers of Latin America and the Caribbean, and the delegates, the representatives of the institutions that are strategic partners of this initiative, to the representatives of FAO offices in the region, and in particular to our panelists, Mr. Santiago Arguello, General Coordinator of Agriculture of the Secretariat of Agriculture and Rural Development of Mexico, Professor Paramata Umaharan, Director of the Cocoa Research Center at the University of the West Indies and Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Juan Luis Barrios Ortega, President of the National Coffee Association of Guatemala, Mr. Patricio Riveros, Deputy Director of the Office of Agricultural Studies and Policies, ODEPA in Chile, and Mr. Ricardo Rapalo, representative of the FAO Guatemala office. Finally, I'd like to especially welcome Beth Hall, Assistant Director General of FAO, Mr. Jinzhuang Xia, Director of the Plant Production and Protection Division, and Mr. Julio Verdeguer, FAO Assistant Director General and Regional Representative of Latin America and the Caribbean of FAO. Thank you very much to those of you who are joining us in this launch. Let me remind you that we are broadcasting this event with simultaneous interpretation into English. You can access it through FAO's YouTube channel from the website fao.org/Americas, and also from our Twitter account @FAO Americas. The invitation is for you to comment on the event on social media with the hashtag One Country, One Priority Product. We'd like to invite attendees to post questions in our social media chats, which we will try to answer during the Q&A session. Now, I'd like to immediately give the floor to Mr. Julio Verdeguer on behalf of Mr. Behold. You have 10 minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Anna. Well, I have the pleasure of addressing you today on behalf of Ms. Beth Behold, Deputy General Director of FAO, who, because of personal reasons, had to be excused a few minutes ago. Actually, she sent me her remarks that she was going to deliver there in English. I'm going to read them in English, and as Anna said, there's interpretation into Spanish also. So then I proceed with Ms. Beth Bethold words. Honorable Ministro, damas y caballeros, buenos días y buenas tardes. Es un placer unirme a ustedes a este evento de lanzamiento de la acción global sobre desarrollo verde y productos especializados. Un país, un producto prioritario, o OCOP. OCOP fue lanzado por el director general de FAO en septiembre del 2021 y para abordar los crecientes desafíos y contribuir a sus desarrollos, así como también para apoyar la implementación de prioridades regionales, el marco regional de 2020 2022-2031 y ayudar a lograr los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible. Me gustaría partir 4 elementos de OCOP. Primero, este país
encouraged to join OCOP based on their own needs and comparative advantage. 2, it's product inclusive. Priority lies with crops, but this doesn't exclude other types of products if applicable. 3, it's food system inclusive. It can involve all aspects of agri-food systems, such as production, storage, processing, marketing, depending on the local context and needs. And 4th, it's stakeholder inclusive. All relevant stakeholders are welcome to build partnerships, exchange knowledge, and disseminate innovations, including governments, agricultural research organizations and extension, agribusinesses, and development organizations, as well as the private sector. As you will know, we are working hard to achieve the 4 betters: better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life, leaving no one behind. In achieving better production, OCOP is foreseen to be also one of the new FAO value-added impact initiatives. But the success of OCOP heavily depends on all of us coordinating at the global, regional, and national levels. So let me set out briefly how the structure of OCOP works. Globally, we have a steering committee overseeing implementation of OCOP, in which the Director General is the chair and Deputy Director General Beth Bechtel is the co-chair. The daily work of the steering committee is supported by an OCOP secretariat, which is hosted by the FAO Plant Production and Protection Division. Every participating member has a national task force to coordinate implementation of OCOP within the country, supported by an OCOP working group. And each region has an organizing group led by its regional assistant director general and supported by an OCOP working team. Agricultural development is strongly linked to food security and nutrition, human well-being, and environmental sustainability, particularly in the Latin American Caribbean region, and is always very closely followed by FAO's core leaderships, donors, and development partners. The importance of agricultural development and rural livelihoods in Latin America and the Caribbean cannot be overstated. As we launch the OCOP for Latin America and the Caribbean today, we aim to set a model for other regions. I am very pleased that so many members and stakeholders are present today, and I express my sincere thanks to my team for its great effort in bringing this work together. The success of OCOP greatly depends on our collective support, active engagement, and robust contributions from across all regions and sectors. And let's not forget that OCOP is a country-led and country-owned initiative. It's important to actively involve national counterparts, researchers, universities, and farmers to share knowledge and experiences and to transfer innovations and green technologies. I urge you all to strengthen your collaborations. The OCOP Secretariat is ready to provide you with all the support that you need to successfully implement your field projects and activities. I count on your strong support, effective synergies, and close collaboration to make OCOP a success in Latin America and the Caribbean and across the world. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, señor Julio. Efectivamente, América Latina y el Caribe.
Thank you, Mr. Bedegue. Of course, Latin America and the Caribbean have unique agricultural products, and the interest in promoting the region through the One Country, One Priority Product initiative is very strong. Let's go immediately to our second delivery. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Jing Zhuangxia, who will talk about the main components of the global initiative, One Country, One Priority Product. Please, Mr. Xia, you have 10 minutes.
Hello, Anna, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Anna, the facilitator, and honorable ministers, and Julio, ADG of Latin American and the Caribbean region, and all the distinguished participants and guests. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon, and from Rome. And I'm very pleased to present to you some key components on the global action plan for green development of special agriculture products, one country, one priority products, OCOP. So in my presentation, I will just outline 5 key components. Number 1, why to do it. Second, what to do. Number 3, when to do, timeline. Number 4, how to do. And lastly, who to do. So will be 5 major components for your information. Now, why? Rational. You know, everybody knows that we are nowadays live in a world full of change and also challenge. And particularly, we want to increase productivity and ensuring health health, reduce crop and food losses, save water and optimize, minimizing agricultural chemical input, and mitigate the climate change. How can we do it? The solution will be important component we call the green agriculture is the key approach for sustainable development in context of current global challenge. So what is green agriculture to deal with for special agriculture products here? So this global action is going to promote all kinds of agriculture products with unique quality and local characteristic. Of course, have high potential to be integrated into local, national, regional, and global market through 3 approaches. Number 1, optimizing positive component. Second, minimizing negative impact. And number 3, maximizing integrated agriculture profit. So what is the objective for us? For OCOP, the first one is very important, facilitate development of sustainable and inclusive value chain for farming smallholder. This means the first to support farming is family-based production model at the center. This is the key. And the secondly, of course, OCOP supports member country by assisting implementation of country program framework more concretely. And then number 3, strengthening implementation FAO strategic framework 2022-31, particularly support for better. And this is really is for better production, particularly. And lastly, contribution to achieving UN SDG for 2030 agenda, particularly number 2 and number 1, by promoting green innovation for sustainable agricultural products. This is why. Now what? And the first, what is the principle? We have a comprehensive principle, but also Helio already mentioned, and from a DDG base. There's 4 important characteristics for OCOP. Inclusiveness. Number 1, country inclusive. All the country, whether you're developing country, developed country, are encouraged to engage with this OCOP. Second one, products inclusive. What's the meaning? All the agriculture products, including plant products, animal products, will be included. Number 3, value chain inclusive. Not only dealing with production, but also dealing with storage, process, and the marketing as you need. And the last one, stakeholder. all the government, research, academia, and NGO, and the public-private sector, all encouraged to be included. So this is a very important principle for us to understanding for inclusiveness. Second one, what's the somatic area? We are dealing with the 4 major areas. Number 1 is the grain production. Here including crop, seed, cropping system, IPM, soil fertilizer, water management, mechanization, and digitalization. And the second one about storage. And the low carbon storage is very important, yeah, dealing with the post-harvest handling and treatment, yeah, and also sorting and packaging and low carbon storage. Number 3, and dealing with processing is many on-site processing, low carbon, high efficiency processing, and also bioproducts or added processing. And the last one also dealing with marketing and about the green price mechanism, green marketing strategy, green brand strategy, or we can say, and geographical location, and green service strategy. This is all covered in this OCOP, but not equally, but of course prioritized based on your request. Now we hope there is expect outcome. This outcome exactly align with the FAO for better. And the first one, productivity, resilient production system are created. This will be contribution to better production. Secondly, food security and nutrition is ensured. So this is mainly contribution to better nutrition. Thirdly, the environment is sustainably improved. So this is related to better environment. And then lastly, inclusive economic growth is ensured. So this closely related to better life. So what is our outcome we expected? Through implementation of OCOP, we hope in each project country get 5 outputs. Number 1, establish a technical network for innovation and transformation of green development of special agriculture products with 3 to 5 pilot site. It's a network, yeah. And secondly, and disseminate a number of technical package for green development of SAP. Number 3, to produce a set of green enabler. This enabler including standard, policy, and also procedure SOP. Number 4, formulate an efficient marketing access platform. This is very important for promote and marketing. And from globally, regionally, and nationally, later on, all the participating countries will put in this platform. So we have, network for marketing access, a platform. And then lastly, set up an efficient calculation mechanism for nationwide, all the country, even finish this project, and then you have a very good, calculation mechanism established how to promote other products and the long-term running. So this is very important for each member country. And if you are engaged in this project, later on you have 5 legacy for you. And what is the budget planning? This initiative is very inclusive, dynamic, also open. So we have 4 categories for support, and it depends on what's the category. Of course, if you have a least developed country, we have more support project. In any country, you have some co-funding, like local transportation, local expenses here should be also, even in Kansas, is okay. But this means everybody should be in a partnership, in the same page together. And then you have, a more even a developed country can also be engaged. And also in case you need some support for a project, we can do it. So this means we make it very dynamic and inclusive. And also you can get in and maybe put different resources together to support and then different and certain kinds of activity. So when? Now we see what's the timeline. And the last year, in fact, 2022, we were already in all the planning process. Now in this year, the first semester, we are dealing with all the launch events, prepare documents. And then this next semester, we are planning for pilot country, make demonstration and the leading the process. And then 23, 24, we continue make demonstration and also get some other products on board. And we hope the first round will be 2025. And then we have some, for conclusion. And then we say what's way forward. Now, already in our DDG batch email mentioned, the successful implementation of this global action is mainly depends on effective coordination and implementation. Like today, we mentioned that globally, FAO already established Global Steering Committee for oversee the implementation. This is chaired by our DG and then co-chaired by DDG batch, composed of relevant co-leader. Like each ADG, region's ADG, like Helio is a member from your region, and also major division director. And then supported by later on, we are going to have a scientific advisory group, also resource mobilization group, and then the OCOP secretarial. Now we are working on OCOP secretarial and hosted by NSP and our division. So nationally and regionally, nowadays, we are the regional launch events. It's going to be an established regional organizing group. And then for each region to coordinate implementation of global action at the regional level. Will be chaired by regional ADG, like in your case, will be chaired by Julio, and your ADG, and compose several members. And then, of course, there is also will be OCOP working group, national level. As long as your country accepted for, and then project country, and you should establish a task force, national implementation task force, and for organized implementation, the global action, and in your region. And we hope the senior officer of ministry and will be chair this task force. And then of course, also we hope there is one OCOP working team to support you, our task force. So this is very important for implementation. Now, next one for internal synergy. FAO is going to make all the synergy and link with all relevant FAO initiatives, hands in hands, Green City, Southern Digital Village, etc. Also make a link with all FAO relevant program like GCP, South-South Cooperation, Dryland Agriculture, Full Animal Control, and globally important agriculture heritage system, all will be together. And then so through this case, we build technical synergy with all relevant FAO initiative, program at the global, regional, and national level to support and contribute to the implementation of this global action. Externally, FAO is going to work in three major areas for cooperation. Technical cooperation, mobilize all the technical resource from research, academia, and university, and it's really also with some kinds of technical products and private sector at the global, regional, and national level to support this OCOP. Financially and fundraising will be organized globally through donation from a finance institution, development organization, foundation, private sector, and also for all the country and the different level Human Resource Corporation welcome all kinds of in-kind contribution worldwide to support this global initiative. And now who will make it? This initiative will be led by the country, owned by the country. Country is a major player. Globally, regionally, we support the country. So now country should stand up and make ready to apply the project. And now we already make announcement, in the website, and there is and the request how to apply the project. The participation members, all the members eligible to join the OCOP. And then with the priority and the first, of course, tropical, dryland, and the mountain region. Member of support, so only one. Why is one country, one priority? Because we are going to make one to support and then for demonstration. You can do more, but if allowed, and then if possible, but it's okay, but you should use your own and funding. So we can call the 1+N model. And then about the project, we have 2 phases. The first phase, we're dealing with plant products, food crop, cash crop, horticulture, and then forest crop. Later on, we also get some experience, and then we extend it to animal products, livestock, and fishery will be second phase. And then the area we do it, and then first production. Of course, other and area we also can support 1 or 2, and this depends on the resource availability. If you can get more, we can support the whole value chain. Now the concept notes will be with that's already launched, and there's 9 major sections. So please design in this time after this launch event, every country please study about this kinds of our global action. And then there is 1 chapter dealing with how to come and how to apply the project through filling out submission concept notes. Yeah. Now the timeline. Now there's a little late, however, submission approval. And then now the first, this project country, every country, if you're interested, you're encouraged to apply, please submit your concept notes through your FEO country office and then to the regional office, yeah, regional office. And the regional office review it and then submit it to headquarters. Headquarters will be, and then it depends on the resource availability. And then the first around maybe is for demonstration. What's the meaning for demonstration? And each region, we select several countries and also according to your geographic distribution, set up a demonstration and then leading the process. And then later on, we'll get more resource, more country, and get it on board. This is the whole process for submission. And this in detail, there is a global action framework. Please make a reference. Yeah. And for further information, please contact the OCOP secretarial, there's email, or NSP director's office email. And thank you very much. Over to you, Anna.
Muchas gracias, señor Chia, por habernos contextualizado la iniciativa Un País, un Producto Prioritario y justamente brindar los diferentes pasos que conllevan al éxito de esta iniciativa. Seguimos de inmediato con el señor Santiago Argüello, Coordinador General de Agricultura de la Secretaría de Agricultura y Desarrollo Rural de México. Señor Santiago, por favor, tiene 10 minutos.
Sí, muchas gracias.
Yes, thank you. First of all, let me greet Beth Bechtel, Mr. Jing Zhuang, also Director of Vegetal Production and Protection, and to celebrate this big initiative of a one country, one priority product. In the case of Mexico, Amaranto is one of the key plants for its protection, but also for its sustainable use. Now, I'm going to make a brief presentation. I hope to go through this very quickly, of course, and then to start with any comments or questions. Okay, let's go ahead.
Bueno, quisiera empezar diciendo.
Well, I'd like to start by telling you that the case of Mexico, we chose Amaranto as a native plant that we believe has a lot of potential for our food security. Next one. And I'd like to share with you this morning the regulatory framework, the product systems, this is how we organize our chains, including Amaranto priority programs that we're using for all crops that will support amaranth, and we mix resources to strengthen this product from this country. Of course, what we have done and how we see our native plants, especially amaranth in Mexico, and the support that we're providing through public services and goods. Next one, I'd like to tell you that everything we do as part of the National Development Plan of this administration, President López Obrador, is focused on achieving the well-being of our population. And specifically in this secretariat, led by Dr. Villalobos, we have three key pillars to recover governance with social inclusion and priority attention to vulnerable populations with a significant incidence in the areas where amaranth is produced, and of course to achieve our food sovereignty and to rescue the countryside. Next one. This is a huge task that requires all wills, both from the public and private sectors, the social sector, as well as international cooperation, and also support organizations such as FAO in this case, and where we believe that the ultimate interest is of a better Mexico for everyone. So we believe that in Mexico, we have two areas, which is our dual land area, central and north, with a huge production potential, which has been affected by desertification processes during the last 3 years, especially. That's where we find tequila, spirits, fruits, and vegetables that allow us to have a champion agri-food balance, and the land or primary sector that was able to grow even in spite of COVID. But in the southeast, this is where we find amaranth as well. We have farmed land with limited access to credit to a significant amount of population in rural areas, significant poverty as well. And we would believe there's a huge opportunity in this region to invest, especially to achieve a social and economic return, to build value among these populations, and to achieve territorial development. So we work with all product systems, more than 66 different crops broken down into different categories, according to our sustainable rural development law that promotes efficiency, competitiveness, and in this administration, very much focused on food security of Mexico and the world, and with sovereignty, and where we find, of course, amaranth. We have wheat and other base grains, but we see amaranth can be a product that could be truly a substitute, even in combination with the mixes of different types of flours to mitigate the cost of wheat because of the geopolitical conflict in Eastern Europe. Next one. So we find different challenges to reactivate our agri-food systems, especially in this constant reality with essential elements such as health and security, as well as the COVID prevention, to improve equality conditions for these agri-systems to be able to provide healthy, nutritious, safe, but most of all, affordable food for all population. We believe amaranth can play a significant role in productive recovery, especially in semi-arid and arid zones. The next one. Let me tell you that we also develop priority programs for all of this, practically 5 of them, production for well-being, where we are already benefiting more than on 1,500 hectares of amaranth. We believe there's a lot of potential to grow. Guaranteed prices, where we popular stores in Mexico. There comes out more than 24,000 stores. Amaranth is part of the basic food basket, fertilizers for well-being, in order to supply fertilizers for free to vegetables, wheat, and bean producers, to support small fishermen and women with the Bien Pesca program, and also agri-food safety and health. And the sixth one that was recently announced by the president is a package against inflation and increased food prices. I'm not going to dwell on that, of course. And among all of this, we're investing more than 33.9 billion pesos, equivalent to more than 1.6 million US dollar. So I'd like to tell you that the strategic project Plantas Nativas para la Alimentación y la Agricultura, our ambassador at FAO, Dr. Miguel Garcia Wingers, designed, and where we promote these native plants, and one for which we see significant potential and more now against inflation, because we see the production of food, is amaranth. Next one. So among those objectives is to promote the development of our rural communities, of course, through the sustainable use of these native species, as well as to generate a fair retribution to these communities that for centuries have been custodians of these materials to develop their positioning and development. That's why this product, one country in one priority product, is aligned with our sectorial programs, because we can use them as back to the roots to promote innovation and development, especially in the vegetable world, and of course to collect more information, and we need to be generous with knowledge and technology, so that with other peoples. Amaranth is a historical, natural element for us in Mexico. It's a native genetic resource where we believe that for more than 4,000 years it's been domesticated. These species have been domesticated, the different ones that we find in Mexico. And Mexico, of course, its origin and its genetic diversity center of these materials. The next one is one of the most thorough foodstuffs because of its high protein value, as FAO has said it several times, and the World Health Organization. And we also believe that it's a strategic ally for the food self-sufficiency, but also it can be for other countries in the region, and where we find in our national vegetable varieties catalog, where we find all different crops that we have in country. We have already 6 validated varieties, and 4 of them with a new record that is being processed. And of course, that's part of the wealth in order to promote this agriculture through amaranth. The next one. On the other hand, we believe it is an important alternative in productive conversion, because there's a significant resilience in water scarcity areas. It requires limited water, as we have said. And through our National Institute on Forestry Research, INFAP, we have validation of the technology packages with agroecological practices that will allow us to develop production for self-consumption, but also to sell the surplus to the rest of the population and as a source of protein. Next one. These are 6 states in southeast, more than 5,000 hectares, but we believe it's huge potential, especially if we consider arid and semi-arid zones. The next one. This is the map where these plantations and crops are located, southeast of Mexico. And we can also say that it is a plant from which we use everything, not only because of its high protein value, because of its use as a cereal, but the leaves are used as a food in order to contribute to phosphorus, vitamin A, and calcium. And from the flower, pigments, natural pigments can be obtained because of its different components. This is a comparative chart, general chart, that where we discuss nutritional value And there you can see, in comparison to wheat, maize, and rice, it is a significant protein contribution. You see the comparison, and it is part of the values of this great crop. Next one. So all of this will be supported by our public goods and services, INIFAP, that I mentioned already, research, technology transfer, SENASICA in terms of food as safety, SNCS, which are our national seed certification service, where all varieties are registered, and we also protect the rights over any vegetable species, and SAP, which is agri-food information system that defines polygons and production potential all throughout the country. Next one. So the institutional commitment in this ministry through its Minister Victor Villalobos is to prioritize the attention to most vulnerable populations through strategic programs and projects such as this one with the native plans that is aligned with one product, one country, one priority product through intersectorial coordination and public-private investment. And this is also supported by public goods and services that contribute to improving productivity, equality conditions for a territorial development that is fair and the well-being of the whole population. Next one. And also with the expected impacts, the first one is to be clear as a country in terms of where we're going, to keep being an important player in food production. And as I said, in order to guarantee food security of our people with sovereignty, and also to contribute to the world's sovereignty, and especially to achieve territorial development that is fair and equitable for all. Next one. And all of this aligned with sustainable development goals, where we believe agriculture, and specifically through the use of native plants, they represent a good part of the agrobiodiversity that we have, not only in our country, but in different countries, is where we contribute the most to almost all of these sustainable development goals in this millennium. Thank you very much. Next one. Thank you very much. That's it from me. Thank you, Mr. Arguello, especially for bringing this great opportunity that native products offer, as you well put it, champion products, as you said. And also we see the alignment from the point of view of the Mexican government with public and political services that are required in order to strengthen these crops. Also, this response of this type of crops faced with climate change, especially to provide nutritional and food safety. These are quite compatible with the initiatives of one country, one priority product. Now we'll go to the next presentation. I would like to offer the floor to Professor Padmanathan Umaharan, Director of the Cocoa Research Center, the University of the West Indies, Trinidad and Tobago. Professor, you have 10 minutes, please.
Thank you very much for the invitation. My presentation is going to be in English. I'm going to talk a little bit about the cocoa industry in Trinidad and Tobago. Historically, Trinidad and Tobago's agriculture sector was based on two important crops, cocoa and sugarcane. Together, they were responsible for the economic development of the country during the 1800s and early 1900s. However, during the last century, with the discovery of oil and gas, Trinidad and Tobago economy was transformed into a petrochemical-based economy, which has resulted in the migration of labor out of the agriculture sector into the more lucrative petrochemical sector. This has resulted in a decline in agriculture. Most of the food and feed, therefore, is imported using petrodollars earned, which has created a food insecure situation. For instance, the cocoa production in Trinidad and Tobago declined from the position of being the third largest cocoa producer in the world, producing over 40,000 metric tons of cocoa, to a relatively small producer over the last century. At present, Trinidad and Tobago is in a quest to diversify its economy using green technologies for energy generation, revitalizing the agriculture sector, and is looking for opportunities to revitalize the cocoa sector and the agriculture sector to become a more food secure country. Despite the decline in cocoa production, the cocoa in Trinidad and Tobago has maintained a special status globally due to a number of factors. I'm going to list these factors. First, the Cocoa Research Center, which I lead at present, was established in 1930. It remains a premier research and development facility supporting the cocoa sector locally, regionally, and globally. The Cocoa Research Center has established the International Fine Cocoa Innovation Center as a center of excellence to develop innovative technologies to combat climate change, diseases, and to help transform the cocoa sector into a sustainable sector. It supports startups and provides technology and business incubation, provides intermediary products to startup companies, and provides a range of technology services and training programs. The second comparative advantage is that Trinidad and Tobago is the custodian of the International Cocoa Gene Bank, which is regarded globally as the largest and most diverse cocoa collection in the public domain. The International Cocoa Gene Bank supports cocoa breeding programs around the world by providing primary and enhanced genetic resources, DNA fingerprinting services, and other germplasm services. The third reason for the comparative advantage is that Trinidad and Tobago is the country of origin of Trinitario cacao, which is highly regarded for its excellent flavor attributes and is the mainstay of the fino flavor cocoa industry worldwide. The exclusive, and Trinidad and Tobago is also regarded as an exclusive fino flavor cocoa producer and has won several international awards for its flavors and fetches a very high premium in the international cocoa market. And fourthly, Trinidad and Tobago has the longest standing breeding program, and it has developed 3 cycles of breeding material, which are highly regarded within the region. In cocoa circles in the region, Trinidad and Tobago therefore is regarded as the Noah's Ark for cocoa. Now, these comparative advantages has allowed the country to remain in cocoa production, albeit at a relatively low level, despite the influence of the global growing cocoa petrochemical sector. At present, the government of Trinidad and Tobago has therefore identified the cocoa sector as an important sector in its Road to Recovery document and has targeted it for the economic diversification of the country. This is based on several factors. One is the reputation of quality and the premium that the cocoa gets in the international market, as I said before. The second is the growing number of value-added outfits that are emerging in Trinidad and Tobago that uses the Trinidad's cocoa to produce products and export those products. And thirdly, the genetic resources that Trinidad and Tobago has and the innovation capacity to develop climate-resilient, drought-resistant varieties for the local market and the international market as well. And finally, the role of the cocoa sector in sustainable development. Cocoa being a crop that provides environmental services because it's part of an agroforestry system. It supports rural livelihoods. It provides potential export earnings for the country. And more importantly, it provides food security, as in many cases, the farms that produce cocoa also produce a range of food products along with it. Now, globally, the cocoa sector is regarded as unsustainable due to a number of questions arising with regard to its economic sustainability, social sustainability, and environmental sustainability. 70% of the world's cocoa comes from small farms that seek a living on a few dollars. This has precipitated undesirable social practices such as child labor, kidnapped labor, etc., which has further tarnished the global cocoa industry. Further, deforestation and the long and convoluted supply chains has resulted in a high carbon cost per kilogram of chocolate produced, which is also becoming an important concern. So the transformation of the cocoa sector from an unsustainable sector into a sustainable one is a quest that is happening in the international scene. So in Trinidad and Tobago, the transformation of the cocoa sector using the green principles with developing ESG compliant supply chains, using the comparative advantage of our production systems is something that we are very much interested in. And we are hoping that this can be developed into a model for the rest of the cocoa sectors in the world. So therefore, we call this exercise that we are doing as cocoa, carbon, and community. It's an approach that uses the triple bottom line. And using this approach, one of our local producer cooperative has applied for geographical indication in Europe based on its quality reputation and also the sustainability practices that it uses. We have also supported various estate origin brands through certification and traceability services, and many of our cocoa estates export micro lots of fine flavor cocoa to niche boutique chocolatier markets internationally. We therefore regard the aims, principles, approaches, and activities, the one country, one commodity, as one of the driving goals of what we are trying to achieve in the cocoa sector in Trinidad and Tobago. And therefore, this whole approach is actually amenable to what we are actually doing in Trinidad and Tobago. We have established a collaborative approach to the design of the project involving the Cocoa Research Center, the Cocoa Development Company of Trinidad and Tobago, the Ministry of Agriculture and farmer groups. This will allow innovations that we develop under the project to be mainstreamed among the cocoa community. The Cocoa Research Center of the University of the West Indies is a regional institution that serves countries from Belize to Suriname, which allows these technologies to be also transferred to other countries in the region. We have recently established projects in Belize, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominica, and St. Lucia. We have also recently started serving countries in Latin America, including Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador under various projects, allowing us to mainstream some of these green technologies developed here to the wider region. I thank you.
Muchas gracias a usted, profesor, por relevar la importancia del rol que...
Thank you for referring to the importance of research centers, academia, ministries, farmers, the market, and the entire ecosystem of players in these value chains that uphold the special agricultural products in Trinidad and elsewhere. Thank you. Prior to moving on with the fifth speaker, I would like to make mention of the more than 100 individuals who are following us on our different channels. Thank you for joining us today. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Juan Luis Barrios Ortega, the president of the National Coffee Association of Guatemala. You have 10 minutes. Thank you. I would like to greet those who have spoken before me and thank FAO for inviting me to take part in this event. I have a question. May I share my screen? Yes, you may.
Permítame que...
Ahora estoy teniendo problemas. Perdón, estoy teniendo problemas aquí con compartir la pantalla, pero entonces se las daré
Well,
simplemente
apparently I
aquí.
cannot share my screen, so I will just ad lib, and I will share the presentation later if you would like. Thank you for that. All right then, allow me to mention that, let me talk a bit about the sector. I will talk about the Guatemalan coffee sector as a whole and the importance of this sector for the country, for the agricultural sector, and for the socioeconomic aspects. Then I will briefly refer to the attributes of Anacafe. We are a hybrid organization, one could say, a precursor, I guess, of the public-private partnerships, which are mixed initiatives. And one of our approaches involves providing support to coffee producers nationwide, along with digital tools that we have developed jointly with support from FAO. Now, all of this contributes to enabling the parties to meet the objectives mentioned by Mr. Shija. Now, the Guatemalan coffee sector consists of more than 120,000 family producers, family farmers, and what's important here is that we grow between 350,000 hectares, but we cover 60%. These covers are across 60% of the municipalities nationwide. So you can see the large number of districts that grow coffee. Our trade union coverage is what I wanted to make very clear here. This is unprecedented in our country. We do produce corn, maize, and black beans primarily in other municipalities nationwide, but the association and trade union coverage of these other sectors is quite broken up. That's why it's so important to point out coffee's importance in Guatemala, because we have such a level of integration and coverage nationwide. Now, let me talk a bit about the producers. We have broken these down into small, medium, and large size producers. But this is not based on surface area, but coffee production, instead, volume. Now, the small producers are those who produce up to 105 60-kilo bags or sacks, the medium-sized ones in between, and the larger ones, 1,051 60-kilo sacks. One moment. Okay, I apologize for that delay. Now, why is this important? Because, well, at the steering committee level, we have also broken our activities down into these 3 activities. We've also included a 4th one, which is the cooperatives, because not all, some of these small producers are actually grouped under cooperatives, and that's a separate category. Now, what's important about this categorization is that at our General Assembly, we vote according to category. As such, we are able to duly and fairly represent the various groups on the Assembly when it comes time to make decisions. Let me also mention that the government sector is represented in our National Assembly. So there are 20 seats. 4 producer categories are taken up by each of the 4 categories, so 4 per category. And then the government sector also has 4 seats on the Assembly. 2 are appointed by the Ministry of Food, Agriculture, and Livestock, and 2 are appointed by the executive power. So this allows us to have a good level of cooperation and integration between the private producer sector and the government sector. as such, we are aligned as well with the government plans so that the government can provide support to this industry as a key industry in our national development. I think one of the success factors that we have actually been able to pinpoint in the Guatemalan coffee sector is the fact that we are actually the producers themselves shape the agenda. We drive the agenda because this is agenda that's really there for the benefit of the sector. As I mentioned, the plans and actions of the sector are aligned with government plans and actions as well. So in any event, Ana Cafe provides a variety of different services and wears several different hats. The most important ones are technical assistance. Some countries call this outreach services. We, however, as of last year, started calling this technology transfer. We've slightly changed the approach in that the service that the institution provides is specifically providing the producers with tools and capacities, regardless of their size, so that they can make a go of it. And secondly, it's important to mention marketing and advertising and promotion. Now, Ana Cafe is an organization that promotes Guatemalan coffee. The organization does not trade in coffee. We do not work with price fixing or price. We don't set prices. We work with we simply provide support to the producers so that they can have access to the market and thus make better decisions, either because they want to sell the bean locally or they prefer to process the bean at different levels and export it through a local exporter, or they prefer to export the actual unprocessed bean. Now, if they would like to even go further and export roasted coffee, they can do that as well. They're provided with those tools to support them. Now, I will refer later to some digital tools that exist for that purpose. Now, in the end, these are the main services that we provide, in addition to laboratory services, including soil analyses, as well as market intelligence. We have a coffee academy or a coffee school as well. And the purpose of all this is to provide the producers tools for better decision making. Now, all of this context has served the purpose to refer to what we do and what FAO's approach has been in our country as well. Now, for more than 60 years, we have adopted a certain approach. And for a while, when support is provided to the agricultural sector, the discourse is that the efforts are aimed at boosting production. But after analyzing this situation at great length, we realized at Ana Cafe that boosting production is important, but it's not the most important aspect. Now, when we took that in mind, last year, we decided to bring about changes with regard to our outreach services. And now we emphasize the importance of profitability. Why profitability versus productivity? Well, because experience has shown us that many of the best laid production boosting plans have not been backed by financial or economic analyses. And as a result, they have not truly resulted in boosting production for the producers' benefits. They're actually very sad stories of different size coffee producers who have made an effort to implement the technology and all the various tools to boost their productivity. But unfortunately, because these efforts were not coupled with financial or economic analysis, they have simply gotten in too deep. And they haven't had the capacity to pay off their loans, or perhaps the interest rates simply did a poor number on them and ate into their profits. So the message for you all is that whenever we want to boost productivity, because we know that it's absolutely necessary to boost productivity, that's something that needs to grow as demographics grow as well. And FAO has pointed out that we need to be more productive with regard to our food production. But if we're not profitable, the producers will suffer the worst, and the small producers in the field, on the farm, who depend on this and who do not have many opportunities, other opportunities, will suffer the most. That's just a message for you. Now, let me specifically refer to some of the digital tools we have available. There are some apps, of course, that we have developed. One of these is called Better Soil, Better Coffee, and this is focused on fertilization. In other words, the producers will submit their foliar and soil samples to the laboratory, and then specific personalized fertilization plans will be drawn up for them, and they will be sent to them via the app. And then this is something that anyone can receive on a smartphone. Almost everyone has smartphones today, and internet coverage in cell phone coverage in Guatemala is quite good today. There are some areas where there's poor reception, but generally speaking, we have reached most of the producers. And as a result, very specific personalized programs have been drawn up for these, regardless of their production unit size. And they receive this coffee nutrition, I guess you could say, plan. And then we work with GIS as well. GIS provides support by way of geopositioning. And then we have the various weather stations distributed throughout the country. There's more than 100 weather stations that have provided producers with yet another tool. They will be able to plan because they will have the weather station reports and weather reports, whether or not they should expect the Nino, the Nina, or no phenomenon. And just by the way, all of these services are entirely free of charge.
Perdón, me pasaron aquí un papelito que les vamos a compartir la presentación.
I just received a little note saying that we will share the presentation with you later. And just to rewind, all of these services are provided free of charge to Ana Cafe members. Then we have the Coffee Cloud. That is used to identify pests, disease, and we can actually count the different diseases and plagues and conduct analyses of these. And when we overlap this with the weather stations and the GIS, we can actually analyze the impact of heavy rains or drought on pest and disease in the coffee plantations nationwide. Now, this system includes a traffic light system. Green means that the sum of the appearance of specific diseases or pests is okay. When the light is yellow, it means that, just FYI, we may be entering dangerous zone. And when it's red, that means that we need to intervene in the field. Now, these tools are designed for production purposes. As I mentioned, we have another digital tool for market access, which is called the Coffee Search System. It's an online tool that anyone can peruse. And it doesn't matter what the size of your production it is, you can just upload your information using the GIS geopositioning system, and then you can actually see where you are located on the map of Guatemala, and you can upload basic information. For example, production volume, the type of coffee that you are working with, and for example, if you have a specific batch or lot that you would like to sell, you can also upload that information, or the producers can publish tasting details, information on coffee flavor. This allows for the producers to directly reach out to different buyers. This was enabled thanks to funds by the USAID, and we are actually working on the second version. And this has been successfully used by producers who have actually been able to carry out business this way, grow their businesses. And we know that FAO is fostering market access, and this is a good example of what you can do, at least in the coffee sector. We have other tools as well for fostering market access. We have nutritional information on the different types of coffee available in our country from the different regions, and we also try to ensure that some of our producers or special producers stand out, particularly if they have something unique to offer. Finally, the most recent tool that we have launched is Coffee Shops GT. This is for the final steps in the value chain as an effort to encourage domestic consumption. This was achieved thanks to funds by the OEC, granted to the entire Mesoamerican region through a regional organization. These funds constituted seed capital to develop this app, Coffee Shops. And as I mentioned, the coffee search system is similar to this new app, because this, as a coffee shop, I can show where I am on the map, and I can show a menu of my products. Maybe it's not just coffee, maybe I also have food products for sale as well. And this allows for identifying where you can actually buy a good coffee. This is essentially driving national domestic consumption. And because we really shouldn't export all the best coffee, we should keep some of the best coffee for ourselves as well. That's the purpose here. And with that, I would like to wrap up. As I mentioned, I will also be sharing the PowerPoint presentation with you in a bit. Thank you.
Mr. Barrios, thank you, especially for this highlighting the public and private alliances and the unity of the Guatemalan coffee sector, but also of the relevance that services, information, and specialized tools have in order to make specialty agricultural product more special, especially in the case of Guatemala. We'd like to thank you for your participation. And of course, we are going to be ready to receive your presentation. Thank you very much, Mr. Barrios. I'd now like to offer the floor to Mr. Patricio Riveros, Deputy Director of the Office of Agricultural Studies and Policies of DEPA, Chile. Mr. Riveros, you have 10 minutes. Thank you. If you allow me, I'd like to show a presentation. Okay.
Agradecería si me pueden confirmar de que se
If you could please let me know if you can see my presentation. First of all, I'd like to greet the FAO authorities and, of course, the people who have preceded me, and, of course, each one of the attendees worldwide. This is a presentation that will focus on the materialization of the project in the short term that has had 4 Chilean honeys based on this initiative of one country, one priority product. First of all, I'd like to tell you about the strategic guidelines of our ministry commissioned by President Boric that are being developed based on the leadership of Minister Esteban Valenzuela. Basically, it's 8 of them, and what is underscored in red are those areas where the honey or sector is key. Well, the beekeeping sector plays a significant role in Chilean agriculture and of the development of local communities, where small growers and family agriculture plays a significant role. Even 90% of beekeepers have close to 300 of course, the role of bees and other native pollinating vectors contribute to the balance of pollination processing because they're responsible for the reproduction of plants, contributing also to food safety and sovereignty. So the connection with this project and the beekeeping sector allows to be very happy about the development and the coming challenges. The project itself in 2021 was focused on to provide support to the National Beekeeping Commission in order to contribute to the knowledge and tools to position honey as a unique and high value produce. The idea is to have 3 outputs, which number 1, which is to support for the formulation of a draft plan for beekeeping development, a second element that is under development together with a third element, which is the value, strategy, and positioning of Chilean honeys in the domestic and foreign markets, and a roadmap to increase supply and access to certifying laboratories in the field of safety and quality of Chilean honeys. Let me discuss the main components of this plan, strategic plan for beekeeping development. One of them is the differentiation based on quality and authenticity of honey products, both for export and local markets. So the second component is professionalization and training on all the activities based on the entire chain that has to do with honey production. Of course, it needs to have necessary mechanisms in order to see how to adapt the beekeeping sector and to highlight the role of the pollinators as part of agriculture. Here, one of the most relevant things is that this allowed us to build a common vision. This is a common vision, and it was built first of all with close to 30 representatives, public and private sectors, where I had like the Miel, Red Apícola Nacional, etc. And this also, the public consultation was being completed, where close to 700 people took place, and with 20 regional meetings, where we were able to build this vision for the beekeeping sector to the year 2030. And now, the next challenges, what's coming? What's next? I believe it is quite important to highlight the role that FAO has played in our project. And of course, we hope we will be able to keep collaborating and receive the support, is to implement the strategic beekeeping development plan to build a model for monitoring and managing the plan. For this, we need to develop indicators and goals, something that we can establish about what has been the impact of this project, and of course of this project among the indicators that may be set as a goal for 2030. We need to materialize the value and positioning strategy of Chilean honey in the domestic and foreign markets, always in agreed or agreement therefore with stakeholders, and to support the Apimondia World Congress, where Chile in September 2023 will be we will host Apimondia. This is really important because we need to highlight the agricultural sector from Chile to the world, and that's how we can also lay the foundations for the second stage of this project. So I don't want to dwell any longer. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Riveros, especially for highlighting the need to have a common vision as a sector, especially of the broad involvement of the different stakeholders in the chain, which has become a public policy instrument led by the Ministry of Agriculture, such as the proposal of a beekeeping strategic plan. I'd like to thank you for your remarks. Now, I'd like to offer the floor to Mr. Ricardo Rapallo, representative of FAO office in Guatemala. Ricardo, you have 10 minutes. Thank you, Anna. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to participate. Please, if you allow me to share my screen. Now I'm enabled. Yes, I've just been enabled. Please confirm if you can see my presentation. My presentation has a slightly different approach compared to those who have preceded me. From my role as a coordinator of FAO's office in a country, I tried to provide examples from our experience of what are the benefits and the opportunities offered, especially a priority product in a priority country, in order to facilitate and develop a better support and technical assistance in collaboration with the different stakeholders in the country within the framework of the mandate of an organization such as FAO. I'm fortunate enough that I've been preceded by Mr. Barrios, and therefore I don't need to delve deeper into the explanation about the importance of a product such as coffee for Guatemala, and like many other countries in the region, in Latin America and the Caribbean. I do not want to bore you with figures, but coffee is obviously a product that is a significant contribution to the country's development because of its contribution in terms of the trade balance and the revenues and the position of the country worldwide because of it, and the contribution to the agri-food systems. Of course, it's a fundamental value of this country, but also coffee, in particularly for Guatemala specifically, possibly is the main industry next to the base grains that makes but that provides access, and the access of families as well, and that also supports resilience as a fundamental livelihood. Culturally very well developed in the country, but that covers those that income to guarantee food security and the minimum income to guarantee access to a basic food basket. Coffee, together with sugarcane and the production of basic grains, is fundamental. A fundamental component for the livelihoods of a large number of families in Guatemala and many other countries in Central America, as you well know. It is a product that, of course, is produced by small growers, by cooperatives and associations that, of course, or family associations that, of course, are positioned among the most demanding markets worldwide, and therefore there are significant innovations and technology breakthroughs allowing that. But its root or its social base are the small and medium growers. Some pictures as an illustration of the importance of Guatemalan coffee in many other countries in Central America. As you know as well, is one of the products that in terms of its production systems through agroforestry systems, it can also become a key factor to develop sustainable climate adapted models that may be also part of the solution to address climate challenges and challenges related to resilience of the most vulnerable families, like in many other countries in Latin America, the Caribbean. Now, second part of my presentation, once I've underscored the importance of coffee in the livelihoods of most of the small growers and producing families in Latin America and the Caribbean and the tropical area, how this initiative of one country, one priority product may implement the work of FAO in the different countries. So for those of you who do not know the way in which FAO works, FAO develops a country programming framework, which is our roadmap in agreement with the governments to work for a specific period of time, 4 to 5 years. There's a programming framework or program framework in Guatemala trying to reflect priorities and instruments that FAO provides to countries. This cooperation framework in Guatemala was signed last October during the celebration of the World Food Day. There are some programmatic areas. Let me go through these very quickly. I don't have time to develop those. They are relatively similar in each one of the countries. And we all have, each FAO office in the countries have a number of actions and programmatic areas that try to favor the changes and the improvements of the lives of many people and organizations and institutions with whom we work. This is an illustration for Guatemala, the impact in terms of beneficiaries, associations, government institutions, public-private alliances with municipalities and academia. Each one of the offices in the world have maybe not similar numbers, but in the sense that we work with several institutions and we work on the development of the countries. In the case of Guatemala, I try to give you an example of where we're working. These are practically, I said it before, we work with 86 municipalities with a significant coverage of the country, mainly focused on those areas where you see the existence of small growers in small plots in the country. Now, focusing on the importance of this initiative, OCOP, for our cooperation framework and to support the countries. In red, you see where the main coffee entrepreneurships are operating, with whom we are going to be working in the coming years. And as you see, we work in, we cover, I'm going to give you some further information. We cover the main coffee producing areas and the main coffee producing regions, the 8 coffee producing regions with specific features. In 7 of them, we work together with the development stakeholders. Now, this is a translation of how we are implementing this initiative of the one country, one priority product, especially supporting the actions that we develop in the country. We're going to work through one country, one priority product in 32 municipalities, 8 departments with 31 organizations, covering close to 11,500 growers. Out of them, close to 5,000 are women growers, 23,000 are youth, because we're talking about beneficiaries, but many of these beneficiaries work in families or as a family, where there's a significant number of youngsters in those families that produce coffee between the ages of 13 and 20 years of age for 5 years. So this map translates into working opportunities in different municipalities in 32 municipalities and 8 departments in the country.
We have joined forces with ANACAFE as well to address 4 areas that are related to prioritizing this concept of one country, one party product nationwide. Now, we work on tackling producer challenges. And as a result of this, we have pulled together an association with Anacafe to address these 4 areas, working with the producers to boost productivity, working with Anacafe to assist the producers and boosting the marketing and adding value to their products, and also improving the levels of expertise in the various links along the coffee value chain and another area. I apologize for going so quickly. Now, all of this, as I mentioned, is carried out with Anacafe, but we also have this harmonized system that involves working with the Ministry of Agriculture as well, with their technicians and other technical organizations, and then the different networks, young people, women, and we worked with, well, all these, we believe that by working with these various stakeholders, we will able to boost the capacity of the young people and family farmers working in the sector. Now, Anacafe does add value to the different areas where we will be working. For example, specifically with regard to technology transfer. This is carried out in partnership with Anacafe. FAO contributes its experience, its project experience, and also Anacafe allows for, or provides us with the various technical digital tools that are speeding up some of the improvements that the coffee producers require. I'm not going to read these specifically. I'm not going to delve into the finer points, but I just wanted to point out that FAO, the government, the project, and Anacafe have all contributed to building more know-how. And we're pleased with Anacafe's know-how and how it has also positioned national coffee in international markets. We also have significant capacity with regard to production diversification, working with local food systems. This is what we make available. This is our experience for developing this strategy. The strategy has been developed by Anacafe. Also industry, etc., and all the value chain, further training baristas and building capacity for marketing coffee. Let me wrap up by mentioning that this is not just a partnership that takes advantage of the FAO projects and our presence territorially and the capacity and experience of Anacafe. We do more. We also view one country, one party product initiative as a means to better organize and foster other initiatives, developments, such as hand-in-hand initiative. This actually overlaps with many of the various territories where we work. For example, you're familiar with another FAO instrument that's been spearheaded in recent years, and I'm referring to climate change related products under the Green Climate Fund in Guatemala. Our project also works with emissions reduction in terms of the coffee and cocoa production chain. So coffee is a vehicle and means to working with other projects that will allow the country to meet its emissions reduction initiatives. Now, Anacafe has also been helpful in rolling out a different strategy involving the private sector. For example, well, plus we have many other projects involving coffee producers that will be the muscle, if you will, that will allow us to be a stronger country with regard to one country, one party product. Here you can see images with regard to the Anacafe partnership. This is one of the key coffee cooperatives. Here we work with the Koreans in terms of boosting the variety of coffee products. You can see Fedecover from Anacafe, other members These are key cooperators. You can see the trifecta, if you will, of the parties supporting the small, the small coffee producers. You have a picture of the app as being used by some of the producers. We work with other products that are being processed for the international market. And I would just like to wrap up with this picture because this is a perfect example of the partnership. You see Juan Luis Barrios here, and you see other participants in this event where we toasted with a cup of coffee. Thank you. Have an excellent day. I am available for the Q&A. Thank you, Ricardo, for pointing out our role as facilitators in seeking partnerships and linking various initiatives, as well as our role in boosting demand in the various countries and providing the services necessary to secure quality food and nutrition security and a good income for regional producers. Thank you so much for your presentation, and I wish I had had a cup of Guatemalan coffee as well. It's been so interesting to see how coordination and cooperation among the various players of the production chain and the private and public sector actually facilitates the implementation of OCOP. Thank you so much to all the panelists for your presentations. These have provided us with an opportunity to reflect on the challenges and the opportunities linked to one country, one priority product initiative throughout the region. So now allow me to give way to a Q&A period. I was just looking at the chat, and there's a chat, I think, that is helpful. It summarizes everything that we've been talking about with regard to the OCOP initiative. The question is, how can the one country, one priority product initiative actually foster inclusive, profitable, and openly sustainable food production systems?
Hafiz or Dr. Shah?
This is for Hafiz or Dr. Shah.
Yeah, thank you very much. And actually, there were questions in the question and answer box. We provided answers, and we urge the participants, if they have any other questions, they can type or they can ask. We are ready to answer. Thank you. Over.
Yeah, la pregunta que tenemos en este momento es básicamente.
The question is essentially, perhaps could you provide some closing marks, because the question is related to how the OCOP initiative actually fosters inclusive, resilient, profitable, and environmentally sustainable food systems. That's the question, essentially.
Okay, thank you. I will answer the question briefly, yeah. And you can see the OCOP, the title is Global Action, that's number one. And then green development, second is important, the green development. And then we call the special agricultural products. So the three terms you can see is the DNVs, and then this initiative proposed by FAO-DG is dealing with nowadays situation in context of a global challenge. Global challenge means now, what's global challenge? Increased demands, yeah? Well, a lot of demands increasing because of population increase. And another one, with limited resource, yeah? Limited water, limited land. And also I can see they are asking, I work in the environment, particularly too much fertilizer, too much chemical pesticides, yeah? Of course, this situation is complicated by climate change. I think keep in mind. So in this case, we really need strategy is sustainable. But we talk too much about sustainable. What is the way? So the greenness in the OCOP will select more this approach for green. What's the meaning for green? Development. Produce more with less. The conclusion, produce more with less. So I emphasize 3 words: optimizing the cropping system. All the professors here, I can say you select a very good, product already, like in Mexico, and then the coffee, and also honeybee and cocoa and honeybee. You can see this is a very special product, right? So now all your professors here, number 1, optimize the cropping system first. Because if we can optimize the cropping system, this means make a system service, support themselves. So in this case, now there's another term, minimize negative impact, particularly minimize application of fertilizer, pesticides. In Latin American, I know that too much fertilizer, too much pesticides. We should minimize, and also minimize the losses of biodiversity. You know that, And so this one, and then we can optimize, and we can maximize agriculture profit. So everybody here, and then I listen is very good. Now we have a comprehensive approach. Not only the yield, we need value chain from production until market. We need also integrated profit. This means economic benefit, increase yield, And then this number. How can increase the yield? Not enough. Increase in the added value, like through processing. You have more money, So increase economic benefit. Or that's one environmental benefit. If we through green development, we reduce application of fertilizer, pesticides, so protect the environment. So second. And number 3, everybody know that. About social benefit is mainly increasing farmers' capacity. Later on, you will see, through this approach, we are going to all the extension will be used farmer field school, FFS, to increase farmers' capacity. Now we should equipment with our farmer, with the knowledge, with the capacity. So in this case, I think now, this is really, I think OCOP exactly reflect what is the FAO mentioned, the transition to more efficient, more resilient, more inclusive, and more sustainable. And then through this one, we for better production, better nutrition, better environment, better life. You can see all together, OCOP is the best, is the fast, is the efficient approach to do so. Now we do it now, and then we can support for better and for more resilient food system. I think this is designing. So I want to say more. All the professors here, I'm very happy to listen to you, and because you have a lot of advantage, a lot of challenge. What way forward, OCOP? Because I can say OCOP will not hit around. OCOP will be a vehicle, the car, carry out all kinds of money to the farmer field, to the farmer field, and then support our farmer sister to do something for production, storage, processing, until market, and it's really helpful farmer. So OCOP is the country-led. OCOP, I can say, is owned by the farmer. It's the farmer's OCOP, So country only support. all the value chain will be integrated. All the stakeholders will be work together to support our farmer. Use this vehicle. Over to you, Anna.
Muchas gracias, señor Xia, por su respuesta. Definitivamente este
Thank you,
lanzamiento.
Mr. Xiang. Definitely, this launch event has been a venue allowing for a very enriching experience for the OCOP about sustainable development of our food systems and the priority chains and the future that we should foresee. I'd like to offer the floor to Mr. Julio Verdeguer, Assistant Director General, FAO Regional Representative for Latin America and the Caribbean, who will deliver some closing remarks for this launch. You have a few minutes, Mr. Verdeguer. First of all, I'd like to thank the authorities, the panelists who have been the main role players in this regional launch of this initiative of the FAO's DG. I'd like to also thank, of course, our colleagues in the central office, headquarters, Director Xing Yuangsha and his team, and my colleagues in the regional office and in the country offices that are working to support this very important initiative. I'm going to be very brief. I've listened very attentively, very carefully about the experiences that we've all developed in our countries. I'm sure that if we had enough time to invite all the other countries that are already part of this initiative, we would have also listened and heard very rich and innovative and interesting experiences, and very special, each one of them, just as we talk about special or specialty products. Each one of those initiatives are very peculiar and very particular. So I believe this means, dear Director Xia, that we must recognize what is already happening in the countries and to make that a reality. The principle you mentioned, that this initiative is of the countries and led by the countries, where FAO has a facilitating role and a supportive role and contributing role. Our role cannot be to get to a country and tell them what to do regarding this initiative. However, our role must be led by one question, which is what value can we provide or contribute to what the countries are already doing, and how we can make that contribution. So therefore, we want to follow a work logic in this initiative of supporting, of collaborating to the efforts that you are already making, and to see to what extent you believe that we can help. That is my core message. We do not want to come up with something absolutely standardized and established, stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3, but we're going to establish dialogue with you, with each one of the countries, to be at your service, because that is FAO's duty, to support and to contribute to what countries are developing already. The second item, very briefly, is that I have listened to the initiative is developed with a core or a center in their countries and specific or specialty products in each country. But I've also heard here, and I've seen here many interesting things, and I'm sure that can be of interest for other countries and even to other products. For example, the app about soil fertility and fertilization that Mr. Barrios mentioned about Alcafe at a time when fertilizers prices, are actually strangling our growers. How can we leverage these tools, and how, and maybe with the help of Alcafe, well, maybe we can make that available to other countries and to other regions on those occasions where it's needed. So how we leverage the work that we develop with you to facilitate the exchange of lessons learned and expertise among different countries. That is what I wanted to highlight. So we are starting this process. In fact, it has been already started, as my colleague Ricardo Rapallo said, with the example in Guatemala. But we are going to join what you are doing already. Once again, thank you very much. And we will continue to work hand in hand with you. Thank you, Ana. Back to you. Thank you, Mr. Verdeguer. We'd like to thank our guests for their time and for the presentations they've delivered. And we'd like to thank all participants and for those who have followed us on our social networks and our website. Thank you very much. We had more than 700 participants connected through the different platforms, and we'd like to thank you all for joining us. Thank you very much. And we thereby close this launch event, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much, Anna. Well done. And thank you, Eugenio. It's very